Hi, and welcome to another Watch Geek video. First, a special thank you to Silver Time Watch Star for supplying this watch, and if you want to check them out, you can click on the link in the description. Also, I will be doing a tutorial on how to use all the functions this watch offers, so stay tuned for that as well. So today, we take a look at the GST-W310, which is a top-of-the-line mid-size model of the entry-level line of Gsteel G-Shocks. Now, if this sentence sounds a bit confusing, let me explain. The Gsteel lineup consists of 3 tiers, or 3 lines of watches ranging from the premium all-metal MRG through the mid-tier MTG and all the way down to the entry-level GST line that this watch belongs to. The MRG is a premium product costing from $3,000 to $8,000, and although pretty much everyone positively reacted to the style and execution of that watch, very few were actually willing to spend that much money on a Casio. As an answer, Casio first offered the MTG for about $1,000 and later the GST line that ranges from $200 to about $400. The GST line ranges from basic battery-operated models through solar-only models and all the way to this, which is solar atomic, meaning it is self-charging and self-adjusting. So this model is a part of the entry-level line, but is the best model within that line. On top of that, this is what Casio calls a mid-size model, and it was introduced in 2017, a year after the original GST models came out that were really huge. I had the pleasure to try one of the original GST-100 series when they came out, and I even managed to dig out a picture of one on my wrist 2 years ago. And you can see just how big that thing is. I think the lug-to-lug on that is more than 59 millimeters. So I was pretty disappointed by the size because I really liked the style of that watch. So I was very excited when I heard Casio will be releasing a smaller version, the 300 and 310 series. And I have to admit these 4 millimeters less in lug-to-lug really do make a difference. It's still a huge watch at 55 millimeters lug-to-lug and 49 in width, but now it's kind of manageable and wears like a regular G-Shock on my 6.7-inch wrist. This version is available with a bracelet or a rubber strap, and if I had to choose, I would go for the bracelet just so you get the full metal experience. The bracelet itself is okay, it has solid links and solid end links, but the clasp is sadly stamped. This rubber version wears very comfortably and gives you the feeling of wearing a regular G-Shock. The attachment to the case is done with screws instead of spring bars, and the only difference compared to the more expensive MTG and MRG is that on those the screws attach to the metal part of the case, while here they're attached to the resin. Like I explained in my Gsteel buying guide video, this is not an all-metal G-Shock, even though many people think it is. Only the MRG is all metal, while the MTG and the GST feature a resin body with outer shells being made of metal. In this case, the bezel and top of the case are metal with rubber sandwiched in between. The 300 series comes with a resin bezel which makes it more resistant to scratches, but I prefer this version as it not only looks more like a steel watch, but the metal bezel shrinks the dial, making the watch wear even smaller. Now, the metal parts on this watch actually surprised me with the level of detail given to them. Casio is not really known for their metal work, but they sure did a great job on this. The flat surfaces and sharp edges catch the light as you move the watch around, and then you have a combination of finishes to make everything even more interesting. The bezel has a vertical brushing on the top, while the sides and edges are bead blasted, making for a very durable finish that won't show scratches easily. The top plate has again circular brushing on the top surface and vertical brushing on all the sides, with just a hint of polish on the bevels of the plate and inside of the bezel. This choice of finishes makes the watch interesting and even gives it a hint of luxury while still making it pretty resistant to scratches. I wish they did something like this on the all-metal square, as that thing has way too many polished surfaces that show scratches within a few days of wear. The dial is also full of details, giving it depth, and the applied indices and G-Shock logo give it a premium look. The hands have a nice contrast and are easy to read. I just wish the minute hand was a bit longer. The buttons are large and easy to press, making operating the watch a joy. And you will be playing with the watch as it comes loaded with functions. It has a world time function with 31 time zones, 48 cities, and a time swap function for easy switching between time zones when you travel. A 100-hour stopwatch that measures down to 1/100th of a second. A 100-hour countdown timer settable down to a minute, and 5 alarms. On top of that, it has a proper backlight with 2 LEDs, one for the analog and one for the digital part. The great thing is that you can use all these functions worry-free as the watch is self-charging. Now, in case you don't like fiddling with your watches, this is still a great watch for you. Since it's also self-adjusting, you can set it up once and never touch anything on it again, as it's a true set it and forget it kind of watch. In conclusion, this is a fully fledged Gsteel that hasn't lost anything in the shrinking process. In fact, I think it even gained something by becoming more wearable. I'm especially surprised by the level of details and finishes on the metal parts, and I have to admit I started thinking about getting one. Although, like I said, I would go for the metal bracelet version if I decide to get one. Anyways, that's it when it comes to the review, and don't forget to check out the tutorial. I hope you liked it and found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe by pressing this button right here, and until the next video, bye.